So it seems that a lot of things have been going on at Tesla and throughout the automotive industry. Of course, there have been these chip shortages. I'm sure at this point you know exactly what I'm talking about. But Tesla has been very fortunate up to this point, and they have been able to continue to deliver cars without any major interruptions. Now, that doesn't come with some caveats because Tesla has quietly been removing parts throughout the last couple of years to overcome these chip shortages. So one of the more recent things that Tesla did that created a lot of buzz and a lot of noise, they removed the mobile connector that comes with a Model 3, a Model Y, X, and S. That mobile connector, it was $275, I believe, to order that directly, but it used to come with the car, but it also came with the J1772 adapter. Now, as of April, any further orders in the future, we're no longer going to get that mobile connector kit that came with the car. Now, unfortunately, when they rolled this out, because they don't communicate things very well, it created a lot of noise because this thing is sold out. So it's not like you can even order it to buy it. And we didn't have dates and we didn't know what all this was going to mean. But shortly thereafter, Tesla did update the ordering website. So now it makes it very clear that you need to order either that mobile connector or the home charger when you place your order for your car. Tesla did also lower the cost of that mobile connector to $200. Now, in true Tesla form, they said that it was redundant and it was unnecessary to continue to include this in the car. Now, of course, they didn't lower the price of the car by $200 or $300, but it does make sense now that we know more about these supply shortages. And it turns out that those mobile connectors, well, they were running into a bottleneck. So now you have to order that specifically, and that should help alleviate some of the congestion. If you remember last year, they started removing components on the Model Y specifically, but also on its sister, the Model 3. I can remember very clearly when they removed the lumbar support in the passenger seat of the Model Y, and a lot of people got very upset about that. And it wasn't that they removed it, it was the fact that after they've removed it, their reasoning for it was it just doesn't get used, which just happens to be the same reason they say they stopped providing the mobile connector. So rather than just coming out and saying that there are supply chain issues and because of that we have to make these changes, they've decided to say our data suggests that these are not being used. So I would love to see the data that they're using to better understand what it is that's making them believe that this is the case. Now, recently, Tesla has made a few more changes, and actually some of you who have an order in are probably going to be looking at some potential delays because there's now a new shortage, and this one can't just be removed from the car and ship the car as is. But before we dive into that, I do want to thank the sponsor of this episode, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions of people come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Some of the classes offered cover topics such as graphic design, animation, fine art, film and video, marketing. Skillshare classes include a combination of video lessons, class projects, and classes are built to fit your schedule. Right now, I'm taking How to Take Pro Photos on Your iPhone by Dale McManus. This course includes 23 lessons covering things from basics of setting up the shot to how to optimize panel mode. So if you want to join me on this learning journey, the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description or use my code BeardedTeslaGuy04221 will get 1 month free trial on Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. And it's risk-free, so after a month if you decide it's not for you, no problem at all. So make sure to follow the link in the description or use my code and start exploring today. So just recently, we started hearing reports from people who were expecting to take delivery of their new Tesla and they were going to be delayed. The car is at the service center right now, but there's a very critical component that's missing in that car. And from the sounds of it, the service advisors are not being given a lot of information to provide to customers. The charge port ECU, which is a very important component, is missing in these cars. And rather than stacking these cars up at the lot at Fremont, they are shipping these cars to the service centers and allowing them to sit there until components come in. At that point, Tesla will be shipping those ECUs to those service centers across the US to get these cars delivered to customers. But it's another component shortage that is now affecting Tesla, much like it's affecting the other auto manufacturers. Unfortunately, it's not very uncommon for cars to be shipped to dealers with missing components. This is something we've been facing the last couple of years. If you remember, it wasn't that long ago that cars were being shipped without USB plugs installed in the cars, and those were being delivered, and the replacement parts would show up when they show up, and then they would be retrofitted. In this case, being able to control and operate that charge port is very critical to the drivability of the car. If the car won't accept a charge and doesn't know what to do in each of these situations, you can't charge the car, so you can't drive it. So in this case, Tesla literally cannot deliver these cars. And over the last handful of years, Tesla has done everything in their power to deliver cars, even with missing components. So this one is a very unique situation, and Tesla is feeling the pain that most auto manufacturers have been dealing with all this time. Now, unfortunately, that's not the only thing that's been happening lately. Tesla continues to remove components or change features to offer you less package, but prices continue to go up. Now, prices going up are based on different factors than what is causing these delays and the changes in components. There's a couple of things happening here. Number one, demand is insane high, and this continues to be validated. And it's not just words, because as we look at the delivery timeline, that continues to stretch out far into the future. You're gonna have to wait about a year to get a new Model Y if you ordered today. So this is real. That demand is driving prices up. But in addition, there are true input costs that are going up, and we're all seeing this every day in our normal lives. So those prices are being passed on to us, the consumer. But both of those things are driving these prices up. And unfortunately, there are other powers at hand that are causing shortages, meaning we are getting less product at the end of the day for a higher price. Last year sometime, we started to see these new headlights roll out across the Model 3 and the Model Y. These matrix headlights are pretty sweet. They can do a lot of cool stuff, including light shows. But just recently, as of April, we started to see a reversal in this. In fact, it was Model 3s that were spotted at first that saw the matrix headlights were no longer being provided on the long range and standard range versions of the Model 3. Now on the Model Y side, the performance Model Y was always the only one that got the matrix headlights that never did eventually roll out to the long range version. So there's unknown reasons why that didn't make its way into the long range, but now Tesla is starting to put the older style headlights into all Model 3s except for performance. So now just the performance variant of the 3 and the Y are getting the matrix headlights. Just another indication of some of the supply chain constraints that Tesla is facing. In addition, just a couple months ago over in China, there was a redundant steering component that was removed from Giga Shanghai. Now this, of course, was a redundant system, so they can remove it and still deliver the car. That redundant system was required, however, to reach level 3 autonomous driving. So without it, you can only go up to level 2. So these cars that they're making in Giga Shanghai that had been delivered without that redundant steering component, those will not be able to achieve true full self-driving in the future because they are lacking hardware. That hardware, of course, could be added later, but there's no promise from Tesla that they're going to do that. And as we continue to plow through 2022 and recent shutdowns in China, I think that we should expect to see this continue. Prices are going to continue to go up. Components are going to continue to be stripped out of these cars as we continue to face different challenges with supply chain on various components. So I know that this isn't great stuff, but there's a lot going on at Tesla that a lot of other auto manufacturers have had to deal with for much longer than Tesla is now having to deal with. Tesla's been very fortunate, and shareholders should be applauding that. Tesla has done a lot of things to address these issues in real time to ensure that they can still deliver cars. So with all that, I hope that you enjoyed this video coming to you live from Florida. I still have a lot of work to do here to make this a nice setup for you, but I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram @BeardedTesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.